This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is the place to make a beautiful website to help you stand out and succeed online, but more on them later. I just got back from Geneva from Watches and Wonders, and I have a lot of videos I want to make. Watches that blew me away, brands that disappointed me. But in this one, I want to do something a bit different. Being in the PAL Expo, it really highlighted the overall mood of the industry, the brands I'm worried about, and the biggest problems the Swiss watch world is facing right now. If you're new here, my name is Brittany, and on this channel we just talk about watches in a hopefully not pretentious and joyful way, although I don't think this will be the most joyful video ever. For those who don't know, Watches and Wonders is the biggest and arguably most important event in the watch calendar. Held annually in Geneva, it's where top brands unveil their novelties, where press get access to the designers, CEOs, and the people actually driving brand vision. It is where the tone is set for the year. If GPHG is the Oscars of watchmaking, Watches and Wonders is the Paris Fashion Week, and it is a spectacle. We're not talking small tables. Each brand has its own showroom. The biggest ones are multi-floor with closed-off sections. Panerai, for example, brought in an actual underwater training tank, one that's been used by Italian Navy diving units. Then, on the other hand, some booths are more stripped back and subdued. The best ones, in my humble opinion, land somewhere in between. The word I'd use for the general mood among brand executives this year is sober-minded. They know the industry is in a tough moment, and they're making calculated decisions on how to weather it. Going back to Panerai, they are a good example. They are sticking to their roots, doubling down on what their existing customers and enthusiasts actually love about them. No watered-down, smaller variations to chase new audiences. Either you get it or you don't, you like them or you don't. And I kind of like that and respect that about them. In general, it seems to be a time to make safe commercial choices. Enthusiasts have been saying for a few years now, "Oh, everything is so boring, no one does cool stuff anymore." And I think that it is just that the mainstream mid-tier brands aren't in the position to do this right now. Some are. It's telling that IWC's headliner was a pretty risky and weird space watch, but it was also backed up by an exhaustive list of risk-averse, tried and tested designs. In short, the mood is, things are tough, play it safe. Something that did surprise me was how cold some of the booths felt. And not in a intentional, stripped back, minimal kind of way. In a disinterested Rolex AD kind of way. They maybe had a couple watches in the window. No one wanted to take them out to show you them. It felt very much like, we are so important and you're lucky to be here. These are my least favorite kinds of displays. There were even some that I felt intimidated to go into. I had appointments and I was still made to feel like I was a burden for being there. And that can't be the vibe they were going for. There is one brand in particular I'm thinking of. I'm friendly with someone pretty senior there, and I know they're struggling commercially. So I booked an appointment there because they asked me to. And even when I went in, the reception was cold. And I found this baffling. I'm not saying every brand needs to have an insane installation or roll out the red carpet because small-time watch press are there. I get it. We're all tired. But a warm welcome costs nothing. Hey, was there a novelty you wanted to see? Did you have an appointment with someone? Let me see if they're available. That's it. I don't think that's too entitled. There's a certain old school posturing of, we're so elevated and important, you can't just walk in here. This is actually a big reason why we've been working on a watch publication here. We are building a place that specializes in tool watches, robust timepieces that people can actually afford, and we are using today's fabulous video sponsor, Squarespace, to do so. I have no idea how to make a website. I don't think many people do, and Squarespace makes it possible for anyone to build a bespoke online presence that fits their brand and business. You can either use their Blueprint AI, which is their AI-enhanced website builder, where you just give a few prompts and basic information about your industry, and bam, they generate a gorgeous website that is still fully customizable. Or you can do it the good old-fashioned way, using their complete library of professionally designed and curated website templates. Wherever you start, it's going to be gorgeous. And every dream needs a domain. So Squarespace Domain helps you find the best name for your business, securing your website or professional email service, so you own your name and domain. On top of that, Squarespace has built-in analytic tools so you can review website traffic, learn where to focus engagement, all in one place. I say it all the time, but it's true. I was using Squarespace before they were a channel sponsor. I'll be using them long after. And it's a pleasure for me that I get to be selective with who I work with. And partnering with brands that I already used and believe in. Go check out squarespace.com/BritPierce for a free trial. It should be in the description down below. And when you are ready to launch, use my awesome code, BritPierce, to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Make it happen. And thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. This brings me to something I've been thinking about for a while. The watch industry is at a genuine turning point, and the last time it faced a shift this big was at the end of the 1980s when the conglomerate model, hype model, was born. So selling expensive, nice stuff to rich people worked well in the 19th century, but by the 20th century, it wasn't working anymore. Enter in Bernard Arnault at LVMH and Johann Rupert at Richemont. They pioneered a strategy of acquiring heritage names when those brands were financially struggling, then using those names to sell aspirational products. Not cheap, it won't be Primark prices, but accessible. Most people in the Western world could afford these through saving or putting it on credit. A £500 pair of LV sliders. Good value? No. Sensible? Absolutely not. But the point was never the product. It was the name. This model heavily rests on one idea, that luxury is a scale, where price equals prestige, cost equals superior product. At the bottom is Primark, Shein, and at the top, Dior, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, high-end fancy brands that your mom can name. The horological equivalents are easy to sub in. So at the bottom, mall brands, Diesel, Hugo Boss, Citizen, and at the top end, Bulgari, Cartier, Rolex, Patek, AP. That scale, so niceness and specialness correlating to expense, is what the luxury model hinges on. It's what the conglomerate model hinges on. But the problem is, people are opting out of that logic and they're finding that it doesn't fit within their personal definition of luxury, in their lived experience of luxury. They have bought the Gucci sliders, realized they're just plastic sliders that says a fancy name on them, and they're done. Even when I just gave that upper end of luxury watches, you as a watch geek probably had 5 other watch brands that came to mind because you have already opted out of this. As a hypothetical, just hear me out here, give this some thought. If you had £40,000 to spend on a watch, would you buy a Rolex Day Date in yellow gold, or a Vacheron Constantin Complete Calendar 41mm white gold, or a Parmigiani Fleurier Tonda chronograph with £10,000 left to spare? I think we're straddling 2 very different possible outcomes right now, 2 very different future realities that watch brands are betting on. One is where the hype machine doubles down. Bigger displays, crazier parties, more spectacle. And actually, in an age where real luxury is about access to things money can't buy, that makes sense. Experiences over objects. The other is a pendulum swing back to the product itself. More stripped back. Almost like the 19th century way of shopping. Far less about the spectacle and distraction, and more about the product itself. So more like Parmigiani Fleurier, Laurent Ferrier, or on the accessible end, Frédéric Constant. Brands where the margins go back into the watch, go back into the product itself, not into the marketing. There's a term that took over fashion a couple of years ago, quiet luxury. Think Loro Piana, Theroux, Brunello Cucinelli. No logos, no shouting, just exceptional materials, and the kind of thing that only someone in the know would even clock. It exploded in 2023, and here's the interesting thing. While the broader luxury market contracted, those brands were growing, because the people who could actually afford luxury weren't broadcasting it anymore. They opted out of logomania, and that shift is happening in watches too. The brands holding up best right now are the ones where the story is the movement, not the marketing. A Lunga Unzona, FP Journe, Parmigiani, the watch world's version of quiet luxury. And right now, it might be the safest place to be. I think different strategies will work for different brands. Do I want Tudor to feel austere and dour and quiet luxury? No. It's a different branding that calls for a different way to market. I don't know. I think this is the part of the idea that I need to work through more, because it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. I think what I'm trying to get at is that it's okay to question how brands are spending their giant margins, and how are they reinvesting that? Is it into better products, into things that make the experience for the end user better? Do they care about that? Or is it just moving units to see number go up to create more value for shareholders? I'm not sure if my definition of luxury will resonate with people, and it's changed a lot over the years. I'm 34, and I've seen my friends' attitudes around wealth indicators change. It used to be Dior handbags, Cartier bracelets, red bottom shoes, but increasingly luxury seems to be things like having a family, having enough space in your house or flat, being able to take proper maternity leave, and being able to afford nursery. My friends would say that's a pretty privileged position, and it used to be normal. It should be normal. It's like the old saying in the 1920s, rich people had cars and poor people had horses. And now it's the other way around. Rich people have horses and poor people have cars. My point is, we're at a turning point of what people actually consider luxury, what they actually consider luxurious, and they're spending their money accordingly. It was visible at Watches and Wonders, and the brands that aren't reading that shift, that aren't recalibrating, I think some of them won't be around in 10 years. And the ones that are paying attention will steamroll over them. Before we end, I want to know in the comments down below, what do you think of as incredibly luxurious and special? Would you agree with me? Disagree with me? Anyways, that was hardly a Watches and Wonders video, but that was just some of the vibes I was getting at Pal Expo. Thank you so much for your viewership. Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and thank you to the Pope Tier patrons. Hello, Pope Tier patrons. We're back. We are so back, baby. We're back in the garage. We're making videos. We're reflecting. We're in our feelings. But this isn't about me. This is about you. Thank you guys so much for supporting my weird little channel. I hope you keep enjoying the work we do here. I love making it. I think I have the best job in the world, and you guys make that possible. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.